Hello, and welcome to the Knit My Heart Sticka mitt hjärta podcast. I'm Maivor, and I occasionally film knitting podcasts, but it's been a really long time since last time. I apologize. But today I am coming to you from a very special place. I am at Knit Camp. And I am here with about 30 beautiful knitters all weekend long. And all we do is knit, eat, and talk. And occasionally walk if we feel like it. It is we are in early November. I am filming in the daylight that I can gather at this time of year. I have no makeup and I am my wintry pale self. But I'm having a great time. And I hadn't planned to film. I have been planning to film for months already, but I hadn't planned to film this weekend. But then I kind of got inspired. And so I've just put up a makeshift studio here in my sleeping hall, where I and a few others are asleep. And we are at Pörkenäs lägergård, which is a seaside resort center, but not quite as luxurious as that sounds. It used to be a sanatorium or a sort of hospital kind of place for people with tuberculosis about 100 years ago, but it's now used for conferences and camps, and people can just rent the place for gathering in a beautiful natural environment. So I just thought that I would show you what I brought with me, the knitting projects that I have with me, and then I will also add some footage from the camp itself and a few visiting guests at the end of this podcast. I am wearing today my Lehto sweater, which I think I showed you in my last episode, because I had just finished it. It's the Anna Johanna design from her book Strands of Joy. And it's really become one of my favorite sweaters. I really, really, really like it. And it's knit from BC Garn, Semilla, Pura, and Semilla Melange. Yeah. So let's just jump in to what I'm knitting at the moment. I have all of my projects here in a mess, but let's start with this one. This has been my computer knitting, my work knitting, all of the fall, ever since late summer. Oh, and it's getting long. And let's see if I can. This is the Windy Fields shawl, or stole. I'm not sure I can quite catch the detail here. But anyway, it's from the book 52 Weeks of Shawls. The designer is Marjut Lund Rahkola, a Finnish lady, and I am knitting this in Cascade Alpaca lace. So this is a lace yarn. I think it's about 400 meters per 50 grams, which means that, and I bought 4 skeins, and I thought I would just knit till I run out of yarn. And I am now on my 4th skein, so soon. I'm getting there. And I'm thinking will be you know, a shoulder warmer, but big enough to almost use as a blanket or to wrap your, you know, just wrap around yourself. It's very light and airy, but still very warm because of the alpaca. I won't say that it's the most enjoyable knitting, because it isn't. It's a bit tedious, a bit boring, but it's perfectly fine for the kind of, you know, you can do it once you've learned the repeats. You can do it while being in online meetings or just watching maybe your television series or whatever. And I think it just has it's such a beautiful, airy, floaty, light fabric, and these beautiful nups, little bobbles, ever so often just gives it such a texture, lovely texture. So yeah, very, very happy with that one, and I'm sure that I will use that a lot once it's finished. And I have my yarn in my very handy a yarn holder because it's because otherwise this ball will just jump around and roll around, and so I'm always carrying my glass jar with my yarn with me on this project. Okay, next up, let's do this one. Now this only has a collar, a yoke, and some sleeves so far. And this is also from Anna Johanna's book, Strands of Joy, same one as this one. And this is the Pierta cardigan. So this will be a steeked cardigan. So here is the steek stitches. And then it has a colorwork yoke. It has some colorwork on the sleeves, and it will have a band of colorwork just above the hem. And I really love this one. I think I am a bit surprised actually at how pretty this is turning out. Because somehow I wasn't, when I chose this combination, I kind of wasn't expecting it to turn out this nice. It was a bit of an experiment, and I really like how it's looking. It's all knit in Finnish wool. This sage green one is Jalovilla Vuona, so that's a single spun fingering weight yarn. And these two are Tukuwool Hakamaa, which is it's a farm yarn in the sense that the wool comes from a specific farm, the sheep at a specific farm, and it's in two shades of natural gray, whereas this one is dyed. And somehow these work together in such a natural way. They form a very harmonious combination, I think. I think I maybe showed. Did I show this yarn? I think maybe I did, the green one at least. And I bought it to match my garden pants, or the pants that I'm that I'm wearing, that I find really hard to find matching colors to. And I think that once I'm wearing this, it will be both a very sort of rustic and down-to-earth outfit, but stylish at the same time. So this is a really enjoyable and beautiful project, I think. And I'm almost done with the second sleeve. So now I just have to start with the body. I did the sleeves first because I don't want to run out of sleeve yarn, and I have a tendency to knit my sleeves a bit short. So I thought I would certainly make sure now that my sleeves are long enough, and that I don't have to sort of skimp on the yarn at the end. And here I have my Knitting Barber cords. You will probably see the Knitting Barber a bit later on. She is a knitter and a hairdresser, and she sells these fabulous cords which you can use for your stitches when you need to leave stitches, live stitches, for take off your needles, switch needles, whatever. You just put your needle in here, pull it all the way through, and it's easy peasy. So these are my new best friends. And the Pierta cardigan by Anna Johanna. Oh yeah, and this is the Hakamaa yarn, the lighter color. So it's also a single spun, very rustic, very woolly yarn. A bit, I won't say it's itchy. It's still a bit rough, but I am sure it will soften when washed. So, yeah. Well, let's maybe look at some socks then. I haven't been knitting that many socks lately. I kind of lost my sock mojo there for a while, or more of a realistic take on things. I realized that I had just so many socks that I felt that I couldn't allow myself to knit any more socks, because, you know, what am I going to do with all those socks? And I'm really bad at gift knitting. I don't, because I have small feet, it's just so convenient to knit for myself. So I just took a bit of a break from sock knitting and knit other stuff instead. But then when I was going through some of my yarns before coming here, because we also have a bring and buy table downstairs where we can sell yarns from our stash to others. And I just dug something out that maybe I thought that I could try and sell. And then I found scrap yarns that I thought, well, these could go together. These could make a pair of socks. And that would be kind of fun. So I started a pair of Tutti Frutti socks with some yellow, or a yellow as the sort of base, and then I just threw in all sorts of colors that I felt would go with the yellow. So these are my Tutti Frutti socks so far. Just all sorts of scraps. Yep. But it's perfect actually for this kind of event where you sit and knit, and you don't always have the focus or the concentration to, you know, follow a pattern or maybe read instructions, you know, for increasing, decreasing. If you try to count your stitches, you lose yourself 5 times over because somebody comes and you say hi. And so, you know, just a pair of mindless socks is actually really good for this kind of occasion. And these are kind of fun. So yeah. Tutti Frutti socks. And I actually, from the bring and buy or bring and sell table, I actually bought a bit of new sock yarn. Some Regia 4-ply in a very lovely raspberry red, which is a color that I have a bit of a soft spot for. So that's 100 grams, and so that I could make that into some Christmas socks or just some regular socks. And then I bought a sock book, Socktopus. You probably see this the wrong way, but Socktopus anyway, by Alice Yu. And it has socks with a bit of a twist. Some of them have new techniques, some of them have maybe a different heel. Many of them have textured patterns, cables or lace, or yeah. So and socks don't ever go out of fashion, or trends in socks are not a big thing. So even though this one is from, I think, 2011, it has perfectly nice socks. So I'm a bit inspired now to knit more socks anyway. And then I also want to show you, before I just get to my last project, I want to show you this beautiful bag, which has some yarn in it now, that we actually got as a surprise gift when we came to the camp. And this has been made by Pörkenäs, which is a yarn a retailer in a nearby city, Kokkola. And she makes project bags, and we all got one of these, and it's inspired. Oh, just a sec. Let me just get the little tag. The little tag that she had attached to it, and it says, exclusively handmade for Pörkenäs knitting camp. The bag represents the seafront with its golden sands, stormy waves, and whispering forest. Now, isn't that just perfect? I think this is so lovely and so representative of this place, and just such a nice memory, I think, to have, and handy, no doubt, for carrying your knitting. So thank you, Pörkenäs. Very nice. Yeah. So yeah, the project. Sorry. And if you hear some background noise here, I don't know quite what the quality of the sound will be, but if you hear some background noise, it's because there are people knitting pretty much outside the door. But that's the way it should be on knitting camp, right? So here is, I think, my latest sweater cast on anyway. It hasn't gotten any further than this. And this is maybe a bit difficult to show. Let's see. Well, this is a neckline, or the beginning of a yoke. And the yarn here is Sannes Alpaca silke. So that's a roughly sport weight, very soft, squishy yarn. In this deep bottle green color. Lovely to knit with, but it discolors your fingers something awful. So that's a bit of a, when you've been knitting with it for an hour or two, your hands are all blue. And that's a bit yucky. But I guess it's an industrial yarn, industrially dyed, and I'm sure the dye will go. I mean, when blocked, it will lose some of that excess color. Anyway, the design that I'm knitting is also by Sandnes pattern book or booklet, and this is the pattern. This is called the Reed sweater. And it's actually originally knit in a cotton yarn, so it's more of a summery, meant maybe as more of a summery sweater. But I felt that I would rather make it into a bit of a warmer. So this is like one of their summer patterns. And here, this is another picture. Yeah, so it's a simple kind of cabled combined with yarn over panels, and just alternating with knit and purl rows, basically. Very simple, but quite effective in my view. And yeah. I've done a lot of things since I last spoke to you. One of the things that I did was that I went to Tititu in Jyväskylä during the summer. On my very last day of summer holidays, I took the train and went on a day trip by myself with the main goal being the yarn shop Tututu in Jyväskylä. And I got this this booklet there, and I also got this yarn, and I also got some other yarn which I don't have with me now. Yeah, but it was a great day. Lots of lovely yarn and lots of fun. And I will be showing the other projects that I've made and the yarn at some other time, because obviously I don't have them all with me here now. And I also, during the summer, I bought, I think probably since my last recording, I bought this book, The 52 Weeks of Shawls, which I felt that would be, I try not to buy too many knitting books, because you know you can spend endless amounts of money on patterns, and you know online patterns and books, and what are you going to do with them all? So I try to be a bit frugal about buying too much, but I felt that this one was so substantial and has so many good things in it, good patterns, and such a variety of patterns, that I felt that I would like to own this one. And of course I started the first one, the Windy Fields, already from this, and I do have plans for other shawls from this one as well. Yeah, maybe I could even show you. Let's see now. I'm a bit disorganized. I haven't really planned this. I don't have any show notes. So anything I forget to say, any yarns I forget to mention, any designers, patterns, well, you know, whatever, I will try and put in the description box below. So please look there if you haven't, if you don't know what I'm talking about, or if I miss saying something. I'm going to show you this other pattern that I am planning. Let's see, how should I do this? I will do it like that. That is called Autumn Vibes, and it's a pretty simple shape like that, with a sort of textured, or maybe it's one stitch cables at sort of bottom, and this is knit from DK weight yarn, and it so happens that I have bought the perfect yarn, and let me just show you that. I need to grab it because it's just over here. A few weeks ago there was a pop-up knitting event and yarn shop, yarn pop-up in Vasa, in my hometown, and Freija yarn, who's fairly new in the dyer here in Finland. She was there with her yarns, and I could not resist this one. This is a DK, merino DK sock, so it's a merino nylon blend. And it's called Whiskey. The colorway is called Whiskey. And I just think it's so beautiful. So autumnal, and just a very warm, rich color. And I thought that would be really perfect for the Autumn Vibes shawl, the pattern that I just showed you. And I have 2 skeins of this, so that should be enough for that project. So yeah, I don't very often knit in DK weight, actually. I mostly knit fingering, so it'll be fun to knit just a little bit thicker. And this is like butter. This is so soft and sort of so soft and substantial at the same time. So I might even cast this on today. Who knows? And then of course today, or this weekend, we have there are 2 yarn vendors here, and then there's the knitting barber, you know, the lady with the cords, and we have, and in a room downstairs, the whole room is full of yarn, from Louhittaren Luola, Knit Lob's Lair. she's one of the vendors, and then Punja, the one with the project bags. She also has. She doesn't dye herself, but she has other dyers and other brands of yarn. So all of us go there at least 5 times a day and just, sniff the yarn, pet the yarn, look at combinations, make some plans, abandon the plans, make new plans, ask a friend, will you come and look at this? Should I get this? Endless inspiration, endless temptation. And so far I have grabbed 2 skeins of yarn in a completely, for me, unexpected combination. This is not what I generally go for, because I tend to go for more rich colors, deep colors, strong colors, and this is just so pastel-y. But I couldn't get over it. I saw this yarn and I couldn't get over it. I was almost, dreaming about it at night. I couldn't get over it. So, what do? You have to take it. And this is Wool Me One's fibers. I do have some of her yarn from previously, and she has a fabulous eye for color. And this is yarn, this colorway is called Dandelion. And it has yellow, it has some dark gray, it has some peach, very, very light peach, somewhere over here, maybe, yeah. And just such a harmonious combo. And that's merino sock yarn. So, well, what am I going to do with that? Am I going to knit socks? Well, no, I need a friend for it. So I took this peachy pink color from Louhittainen Luola to combine it with. So maybe that will also end up as a shawl of some sort to brighten, maybe to brighten my dark winter coat, for instance, or yeah. I've been trying to not go overboard with my yarns, but these 2 are definitely coming home with me. Yeah, I think maybe that's it from the upstairs bedroom at Pörkenäs in Jakobstad. You will see some footage, you will see some other attendants, and you will see some yarn vendors, and I will see you next time. Have a good one. Bye. Hi, Mikaela.
Hello.
What's on your knitting needles right now?
I'm knitting a rai sweater, but without the stripes. And I'm using yarn by Stu, a fingering weight yarn.
What's your favorite yarn quality?
I love the fingering weight yarn or DK, either one of them, not bulkier than that, and not even, I don't like lace, so fingering or DK. And preferably not a coarse wool, because I'm quite sensitive in my skin, so I like the merino.
And what's the best thing about being on knitting camp?
All the lovely people you get to meet, and the time we can spend together just talking about knitting and just knitting into the small hours of the day, just spending time with each other.
Lovely, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Lina.
Hi.
What's on your knitting needles right now?
Actually, quite a few things, but just at the moment I'm trying to get my Poet by Sari Nordlund finished and done. So I'm on the second sleeve, and then I have the collar, so it's almost done. And then it's just a block. It's in Jamie Fosson and Smith's Shetland 2-ply jumper weight. And it's a lovely yarn. So that's on my needles at the moment, along with some shawls and socks and stuff. But yeah, the biggest one.
What's your favorite yarn quality?
Oh, that's a hard one. I like a lot of things, but at the moment I really enjoy the Shetland wools in different qualities or weights, I guess. And of course, this merinos and single yarns for shawls. I love those. And just try something new. I love trying new yarns, and when I find a dye that I never used before, I absolutely love trying those. So a bit of everything, but at the moment I love the Shetland wools.
And what's the best thing about knitting camp?
The absolutely best thing about knitting camp is the people you meet, by far. Of course, the thing that you have the time to sit down and just talk knitting with people that love knitting as much as you do. That's just lovely. And of course, the good food and the conversations and all the nice patterns you see live. So my queues get longer and longer every time on these knitting camps. So it's perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Yuyu.
Hi.
What's on your knitting needles?
On my knitting needles at the moment is a throwback cardigan by Andrea Mauri.
What is your favorite yarn quality?
Fingering any day. Any sort of fingering, but always fingering.
And what's the best thing about knitting camp?
That you can knit, eat and sleep at your own pace in good company.
Thank you. Hi, Tulia.
Hi.
What's on your knitting needles?
Well, a million things. But right now, I'm really excited about Finnish wool, sheep's wool. And I just finished a pair of mittens, and this is what I'm thinking I need to. These are going to be in my shop just as a sample, but I think I need to knit a pair for myself. This is just it's corded Finnish wool called Louhitakku, and you know I love colors, obviously, so that's what I'm knitting. I'm working on. I have one pair on my needles, and I just finished two pairs, and yeah. So mittens is what because it's been snowing this morning, so we need mittens.
What is the story behind the names of your yarn bases?
Well, Finland, obviously, Finnish history. Our national epic Jalovilla is the, well, when I started, it was the very source of inspiration for my yarns, for my colors. And my very first yarn was called Väinämöinen, which is the central character in Jalovilla. And so yeah, everything came from Väinämöinen, but obviously I ran out of names. There weren't enough names in Jalovilla, so I went further into the Finnish national history and our stories, our legends, our myths, and so that's where all my names come from. So everything is named after something, an element or a character or something in our national heritage, or our myths, our legends, etc.
And what's the best thing about knitting camp?
Friends. That's first and foremost. It's friends. Spending time with friends.
Thank you.
Thank you.